Will these back-to-back endorsements translate to more votes for Robredo? Joining us now is political analyst Antonio Contreras. Mr. Contreras, thank you so much for joining us. Do these recent endorsements for VP Leni from the MILF and other political groups help her cause and further closing the gap with Bongbong Marcos?
Well, my take on this is that it's maybe too late in the game. A lot of people have already made up their minds. And if you look at the survey results, at least the scientific ones, you're going to see that in some results, in some surveys, just like what I saw today, Marcos's numbers are even edging up and it's not going down. So it is basically that the pattern is there. So there is very little number to draw from if we're going to convert, because now you need to convert votes.
Right.
And the endorsements, I'm not sure whether they will lead to conversion when there are very few undecided and the margin is too far apart.
So it's too little, too late, Tonton, even though you have these big celebrities supporting Leni. I mean, this won't help her at all gain some traction in the CDE market where you have Bongbong Marcos leading the way in surveys?
Well, that is on the assumption that celebrity endorsements work. But we don't have data on that. We don't have empirical data to show that just because an actor or an actress or a sports person endorsed a candidate, and I'm not just talking about Leni, it is for any generic candidate. We are assuming that it works. But based on our research, for example, on our survey, when we did the survey, the influence of celebrities, even politicians, even relatives, bear not too much into the decision of people. And more so now that people have already made up their minds. If you're going to look at survey results, the firm votes for all candidates, both Leni and Bongbong, are even becoming firmer. They're becoming more committed to vote for these people. So I don't know. I'm not sure. Because it could have been a different ball game, Rico, if the margins are close.
All right. What about
and there are more people who are undecided, but now there are very few, only 6%, 4% undecided. The margin is about 20, at least 20, even 30%. I don't know.
Tonton, what about Isko's tirades against VP Leni? Could it backfire on him or could it gain him traction in this last 2 weeks?
Well, it could backfire on him. But the question is, will Leni benefit from it? You have to look at, if people move away from Isko, to whom are they moving? Then you have to look at the data about on his second choice voters. You know, those are voting for Isko. Who are the second choices? So is it Leni? Is it another candidate? So you have to look at the data. It doesn't mean that if people are pissed off at Isko for doing the things that he did recently, that they're going to help. It's going to help Mrs. Leni Robredo, Vice President Robredo.
What about Bongbong Marcos? Has his tax liability of more than 200 billion pesos and no shows in important presidential debates? Has it had any kind of impact on his popularity?
Well, if you look at the numbers again of scientific surveys, it means that it had no effect. You know, if
Why
you look
not?
at the
Why not,
survey,
Tonton?
Well, people simply don't consider this anymore as important to them. Unfortunately or fortunately, depending on where in the political equation you're coming from. If you don't like him, then it is unfortunate. If you like him, then it is fortunate that these things don't rub on him. That is almost like becoming a Teflon. Maybe people are so fed up with this. I've talked to some people, they say that it didn't work before, it's not working now. And maybe this is also one of the things that might be the downside of the campaign of the political opposition. They've focused so much on the negatives of Marcos, when they know that people don't care about it. Maybe they should have done a different track on how to bring his number down by amplifying what is good about a candidate rather than bringing down Marcos by talking about his liabilities, which people don't want to hear about anymore.
So, with 14 days till election day, is there still hope against hope that Leni, Isko, Ping, and other presidential candidates will still join forces against the survey leader?
Well, it looks like the unity talks among the opposition is practically dead. That ship was already sailed a long time ago. I don't think it's going to happen.
And do you think that this could be the election that surveys will be proven wrong?
Well, not if you have all the surveys pointing to, like surveys are diagnostics of their scientific tools. If only one of them is saying that this is going to happen, then I would suspect that that's something that you have to doubt. But if all of them will say that there is a particular person who is running away with a big margin, then as a scientist, as a social scientist who teaches surveys to my students, how to do political surveys, then I will do a disservice to my discipline and to my craft if I'm going to say you don't believe it. If the margins are close and one survey says otherwise, then it's going to be like in the United States, for example. Sometimes one candidate is winning, the other one is not. But in this case, it has always been consistent since day one. The margins and the rankings, the distance and the order of the candidates have been pretty much consistent. So I don't know. Maybe it is like what many people in the sciences would say, it's possible, but it's going to be very, 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 very difficult.
Political and social scientist Antonio Contreras, thank you so much for your insights.